everybody, I am back. This is On With The Show, and I am Goose, your host. And sorry for the delay, sorry for the time off. We had a death near us, and so it kind of took us a little bit for a loop. And so we've been, my good friend and neighbor Gary passed away. You see, I'm wearing one of his hats in honor of him today for the show. I'm not sure if this is exactly a show he'd want me to talk about in honor of him, but this was a show that I was going to address. But yes, combined with that and going back to people, back to school time for some people in my household, it has been kind of crazy, kind of hectic getting things arranged and registration and all this other stuff. So, but didn't want you to think I had just completely left you, all you beautiful people out there. Today's topic, and I have to address this because I saw this blow up all over Twitter and social media, and I couldn't understand why this was such a big deal to so many people. And then we're going to talk about today about the Jesus Christ Superstar representation down at the Hollywood Bowl last weekend. With Cynthia Erivo playing Jesus, because apparently it's gotten a lot of people upset, and we're going to address that today. But before we get really into the topic, again, go down, subscribe to the channel, bang the bell for notifications, bang the bell for notifications, so you always know when new videos are uploaded. Give us a big like on the video because it does help me with the algorithm and to get this out to more and more people. And yeah, let's get started. This headline from MSN: Cynthia Erivo's Jesus Christ Superstar role called demonic gets backlash from conservative Christians. The article goes on to say the casting of Cynthia Erivo, a black queer British actress, as Jesus Christ in a Hollywood Bowl production of Andrew Lloyd Webber's Jesus Christ Superstar, drawn strong criticism from some conservative Christian groups in the United States. Critics have labeled the three-night run blasphemous and demonic. Supporters argue that the production reflects the long-standing tradition of reinterpretation in musical theater and the show's original willingness to challenge convention. Prominent conservative commentators in the U.S. have condemned the casting. Actor Kevin Sorbo described it as demonic in a video, while political commentator David Harris Jr. voiced a similar objection. Some focused on Erivo's appearance, which includes a shaved head and long nails, suggesting the imagery evoked occult themes. One social media user called the performance a mockery of God's word, while activist Kristen Hawkins accused it of intentional blasphemy designed to insult Christian beliefs. The reaction has been most prominent among American evangelical audiences. In an interview with Billboard, Erivo dismissed the criticism and questioned why she should not play the role. She reminded critics that the production is a musical, not a theological statement, and encouraged people to see the show before making judgments. The actress, who won a Tony Award for The Color Purple and appeared in films including Harriet, said she hoped audiences would focus on the artistry of the production rather than the controversy. Adam Lambert, who plays Judas in the staging, said the aim was to provoke thought and challenge expectations, arguing that Jesus' teaching transcend gender and identity. This is not the first time Jesus Christ Superstar has attracted backlash from Christian groups. When the rock opera premiered on Broadway in 1971, critics, included leaders of both Christian and Jewish communities, accused it of being blasphemous for depicting Judas as a sympathetic figure and emphasizing Christ's humanity over divinity, according to the Washington Post. Over the decades, reinterpretations, including changes in casting, staging, and symbolic imagery, have continued to provoke controversy, especially when they diverge from traditional religious representations, Christianity Today reported. Okay, so apparently this is the hill they want to die on, right? My personal opinion on this whole thing is that it's a big nothing burger. This is nothing to be so concerned about. Let's go over some of the things let's go over a few things at first to talk about. I'm going to talk about, Cynthia Erivo's appearance, because apparently that just draws on occult themes. Well, if you haven't been noticing the last few months, Cynthia Erivo has been donned a shaved head and long fingernails for several months. Long before she was playing Jesus Christ on the stage. So it wasn't necessarily like she purposely shaved her head and got the long nails to provoke the imagery. That's how she is right now. If you've seen other pictures of her, she's got piercings, on her facial piercings, and that I think, for me, I'm not a big facial piercing kind of guy. Depends on the piercing. That's just me. I'm not a big, tattoo guy. I don't have tattoos. I'm probably one of the few people my age who don't have any tattoos. But that's for personal reasons and medical reasons I'm not going to get into. But yeah, that's she's had that appearance for months. This isn't something that she just donned as an idea for the show. It was, this is, she's had this look for a while. So I think to attack that, I think is kind of, it just shows how you really haven't been keeping up with everything. It's almost as if this was the very thing that you decided to follow to become angry about. Understood? You understand what I'm saying? But let's get into some of the other things about this. First of all, Jesus Christ Superstar it's not a faithful representation of the Bible. It's very loosely based on the story of Jesus's crucifixion in the Bible. I don't even know which gospel it even comes out of. But it's not a reliable source. The play is not a very reliable source for you to be getting all up in arms about. And the other thing is that this is one person's interpretation of the play. This is the thing about, when people do theater, when people direct theater and produce theater, they're taking something and they're doing their own interpretation, their own vision to the show. It's, this is why sometimes you will see a show, you'll see a play, by one director, and then you'll go back years later and see it from another director, and it's drastically different. Of how it's done, about what's the interpretation going on of the play. Sometimes it's better, sometimes it's not better. But if you look at different shows of Jesus Christ Superstar, each director has their own vision of the show. This was his vision of the show. Not only that, it only played for 3 nights at the Hollywood Bowl. It's not like it's going to be there for several months. Now, I have seen calls for people this needs to go on the road. This needs to be premiere on Broadway. This is so good. We need to have other people see it, which is complicated because, again, this is something you could do in Hollywood, in Los Angeles. You could do these kind of interpretations in Los Angeles, in Hollywood, because it's a very artistic place where you can get away with doing certain stuff. But this isn't the kind of place, the kind of thing that you can get away with in like Kansas or Oklahoma, right? People are going to be very, really, really upset. But I just feel like, of all these conservative Christians, this is the thing you're going to get upset about? This is the thing you're going to get upset about. Right? Oh my gosh, Jesus Christ Superstar, which is loosely based on the Gospels, not even a faithful interpretation of the Gospels. They're going to have a woman, a black woman, a black lesbian play Jesus Christ. How outrageous this is! And it shows us it gives Judas a rather sympathetic voice in this thing. What are we going to do? We're all let me clutch my pearls and see what I'm going to do. I think you all got. Just like I said with the Sydney Sweeney thing about a week ago, about how they have too much time on their hands. I think you all got too much time on your hands to be worrying about this. This is a big nothing burger. This is something that will come and go. But you had to, post everything on Twitter and YouTube and say how this is just disturbing and demonic. Which leads me to ask a simple question. And I know that a lot of people say, Goose, you're not going to go there, right? You're not going to go there? I'm going to go there. The question is, do you have a problem with the fact that it was a woman that played Jesus? Better yet, let me ask you this. Do you have a problem that it was a black woman that played Jesus? Hold on. Even better. Do you have a problem that it was a black lesbian that played Jesus? Because if that's the case, this is on you. You got to look deep down inside about what it is that's really bothering you about this. Because if I remember correctly, it wasn't that long ago, a few years ago, I think, where John Legend played Jesus in Jesus Christ Superstar live on television on NBC. I think it was like for Easter or something like that. I think it was for Easter or something like that. And I didn't hear boo about that. I heard nothing about that. I didn't hear any outrage. I didn't hear any people screaming how it was so bad and wrong and how can you have this, oh my gosh, for millions of people to watch on a sacred holiday, you would have this, black man play Jesus Christ. Nothing. I heard nothing. And yet, here is a 3-day performance of Jesus Christ Superstar at the Hollywood Bowl played by a woman, a black lesbian, and you are all up in arms. Which again, I think it says more about you than it does about the show. And if you want to sit there and say, well, it made Judas look sympathetic. Well, let me just give you my opinion on that, because I've kind of argued about this a little bit, about Judas biblically. And I think Judas is a little sympathetic. And let me give you my reason why. Okay, because I know, yes, he's the one that was the traitor. He gave up Christ for 30 pieces of silver. He was actually a thief that that was always constantly trying to figure out how to put more money in his pocket. Yeah, I get all that. But I think in the end, if you think about this, if you look at the story biblically, he goes back and he realizes what he's done. And he throws the money back at the Pharisees. Says, I don't want it anymore. I've betrayed my rabbi. I've betrayed my friend. And they're like, dude, it's too late. And I truly believe if Judas had the opportunity to run to Christ and beg for forgiveness, that Jesus would have forgiven him. I really do. But somewhere along the way, I think Judas felt that he had done such a horrible thing that he couldn't go back to the man he betrayed and beg for mercy and beg for forgiveness. Which is a sad thing. That is kind of a sympathetic story there. But that comes after the fact. That comes very much after the fact. And but again, this is my opinion. Am I looking at this from a biblical perspective? The one thing biblical about my opinion is that he went back in sorrow, throwing the money back at the Pharisees, telling them, I don't want it. I screwed up. I don't want it. And then he went and he hung himself because of his grief. Those are the only things that I know that are in the Bible. So all you scholars out there who are going to quote scripture to me about I get it. All right, I do. I get it. I could go look it up myself. I listen to my Bible and I listen to my Bible. I read a little bit and I listen to most of it because I'm a very auditory person and I get things more auditorially than I do visually sometimes. But I get it. All right, I do. I'm gonna take some coffee for a minute. Coffee mug day from Hodel's Fine Country Dining. One of my favorite buffets to go eat at. They have some of the best fried chicken and prime rib. Oh my gosh! And some cinnamon rolls that will just you die for. But back on the subject, I don't understand what you're all in arms about. I really don't. Because it only ran for 3 days. It apparently was really well done. But it does, that is the thing about theater, especially musical theater. It's to push the boundaries. It's to make you think. It's to make you ask questions. That's one of the things I did before came on with you guys today. I asked Logan, what he thought about this? And he was like, hard to be upset when this really isn't, entirely biblically sound. It's just an interpretation. It's just loosely based on the Bible, And I talked about it before when we talked about Snow White. It's an interpretation. It's someone's idea of what the story will be about. And everybody has a different interpretation of what the story is. There is a script, but we just follow the script. Here's the script. Here's the story. Here's the songs. Here's the songs. Blah blah blah. But I didn't understand when people were like. At first, I was kind of surprised because I'd forgotten about I didn't realize that the whole thing was being done, that past weekend. And then I saw more and more people how they're just outraged by it, and I'm like, okay, it's Cynthia Erivo playing Jesus. It's it's another Hollywood interpretation. It's another Hollywood gender bending interpretation. That's all it is. And and again, I think that there are a lot of people out here who are making a big deal out of nothing. They're making a big deal out of nothing because this is not new. This is going to keep going. This is going to be, and it seems like the only outrage that happens is when it kind of goes against the bigger norms than usual. Again, no one freaked out when John Legend played Jesus. No one at all. I didn't see anything. I didn't see anything on social media about it, other than what a great job he did, and he did a fabulous job. He did a great job. He did a great job. But Cynthia Erivo goes out there and plays Jesus, and everybody's got a oh my God, what are we gonna do? This is blasphemous. This is demonic. We gotta leave it alone. It is what it is. It is what it is. And I want to tell you something. Me personally, I am very comfortable with my close relationship with Jesus Christ. I know sometimes people don't see it. I don't see people kind of like, but I very much am. And I think my personal opinion, again, my opinion, all right, my opinion is that I think Jesus would be upset and show compassion and love at the same time. Because I think that even he would think that even they're missing the primary part of the story. Not that a woman played him. I don't think he'd be upset at that. I think he would be upset that you're missing the whole point of the story. That's what I think he would be probably upset about. Anyway, thank you so much for watching the show today. I really appreciate you being here. If you haven't already, go down and subscribe to the channel. Bang the bell for notifications. Bang, bang, bang the bell for notifications so you always know when new videos are uploaded. Give me a big like on it because it does help me with the algorithm and lets me know that I'm in the right track. I'm doing the right work. Share this out to your friends, family, neighbors. Let them know what I'm doing out here, and leave me a comment. Let me know what you think about this, and let me know if you think I'm right. Yeah, Goose, I think this is a big nothing, or that I'm wrong, Goose. You're totally off. This was horrible. I am Goose Scott. This is On With The Show. Thank you for watching. I will see you on the other side.